Chivalry I did not play Chivalry I, so I cannot. I have to admit I did not understand the story. I don't know where I don't understand any of the characters. I don't know their motivations. I'm pulling your leg. There's no story. Good golly gracious! How did it take until the 9th console generation to finally get just an open medieval battlefield game, medieval warfare, just multiplayer, everybody running around with swords, attacking a castle? How did it take till 2021, after nearly 40 years of gaming, to get the most basic of video game medieval concepts in multiplayer form on a game console? Like, are you kidding me? Because this game rocks. Chivalry 2 is great. There are big problems with bugs, and there are big problems with the lack of content, but the core gameplay loop of this is wonderful. This is not a great looking game. In terms of physics, there is a pretty neat dismemberment mechanic, so if you hit people at the right angle, people's arms and legs and heads will chop off. They'll fly off, and sometimes if you get your arm chopped off, it won't actually kill you. So you'll be trying to fight with just your one other hand while you're bleeding out. It's very funny. And one of the dudes is like, "Send for the surgeon!" I'd like to see just hands, or maybe just fingers, or torsos. If you could get cut in half. Or if you take a big blow to, like, the gut, I'd like to see your intestines pop out and you're still alive, so you have to drop whatever's in your left hand and hold your intestines in while you try to fight with your right hand. That'd be awesome. I love it. Anytime you can double tap square and just let out a battle cry, and it's great. It pumps you up like, yes, we're going to die, but they're going to die better, harder, and it's going to be awesome. And then if you're the archer, he goes like, it's great. They must have had a ton of fun recording the voice work for this game. And the sound effects are really good. You hear the kind of the clang of a sword onto a shield, and you hear that like wooden handle of an axe, and the little pick, pick, the sound is wonderful. Great sound work. Literally almost a month later, the crossplay still does not work. I have this game on PS5. If you buy the game on Sony's platforms, you get PS4 and PS5 versions bundled together. Costs you $40. There is supposed to be crossplay, so if you boot up on your own, you play PS5, you get some people who play PS4, you get some people who play on PC or Xbox. That works okay. You cannot invite your friends from other platforms, especially even other Sony platforms. So crossplay between PS4 and PS5 via invite does not work. So what you must do is, if you get invited from somebody who has a PS4, which is where most of my friends are because they're little bitch nuggets, and they were unable to get the PS5 like me. I got those diamond hands. I'm flexing my moolah money. I have the most up-to-date console hardware. That's not really what diamond hands means. And the problem is that graphically, the PS4 and PS5 versions are basically identical. It's basically just a port. The problem is, what was already a stuttery 60 frames a second on PlayStation 5 is now a 30 frames a second on PlayStation 4. Which is absurd. There is no excuse for this game to run as badly as it does on last gen. My advice and my final recommendation to you is, if you're still playing on PS4, ha loser, don't buy, Chivalry 2. It gives you this, you know, like when you go outside the bounds of a multiplayer game and it says, "You're deserting, turn back in 10 seconds or you'll drop dead of COVID." That happens in the middle of the battlefield, right next to the objective. That is bugged and does not work. There's this map called the Trap Pit that is just like, you know, free-for-all mode where everybody fights. There's like spikes along the walls of some of them, and if you don't hold down forward, literally sometimes when you respawn, you jump down the wall, you get caught on the spikes and just die. Literally, you respawn into your own death unless you're preemptively holding down forward on the stick. There's also a big bug with the free-for-all death count. Not super important, but at the top of the screen it says free-for-all 35 kills, and then somebody will hit 40 kills, and then you'll hear the announcer go, "Only 20 more kills remain until the kill leader is victorious." And you're like, oh, so we're doing the new Chicago Public School version of mathematics. Okay, good, got it. But the developers did promise that they were going to release new free content, and that within a year the game would double in size. So if you're smart, just wait till then. You'll have all the content. The game will hopefully have some of the bugs ironed out. It'll be a little cheaper. That's what you do if you're smart. I'm not smart. I want to play things first for video views, even though I take a month to review a game that nobody's going to watch anyway. That's me. So let's see, let me get my mouse over here to the right window, and let's scroll down to my notes, and we will do, what's the next category? Combat! Oh god, this is so long. So just to give you an idea of the combat, you have a horizontal swing, which is the easiest to hit. And in fact, if you're quick enough and you spin your camera while you swing, you can get a 360-degree arc and hit everybody around you. You have an overhead, which does the most damage. You have a thrust, which has the most range. You have a special attack that's like a charge up. You know, if you have a sword, he like grabs it by the blade and smacks him with the hilt. You got a block, you got a jab, which is a quick kind of stun. You have a kick, which is a guard break. You can actually duck under the attacks. That happens by accident most of the time. There's 4 classes, there's 3 subclasses, and each of them have about 4 to 5 weapons, so they all have different healths, they all have different speeds, and all the weapons have different stats. So obviously the poleaxes and the halberds are going to have more reach, and the swords are going to be faster than like the hammers. The game uses stamina, so if you try to block a hit when you've run out of stamina, it'll actually knock the weapon out of your hand, and you get stamina back by landing hits, so it's a good kind of feedback system. You can cancel an attack with square, but that's a wasted button because blocking also cancels the attack, and it does it within the same time frame, so I don't know why they did that. And then there's an initiative system, so if you land a hit or successfully block an attack, you have initiative, which means you should then attack. And then vice versa. So if you lost initiative, you should throw up your guard. So it's basically hit, block, then they hit you, and then you hit back, and then use kind of the other moves to kind of throw it off. So it's a neat little game of rock, paper, scissors. It did that very well. So most of the games start out with like this big charge where both teams are kind of going at each other, and it's great. And you have this little AI story guy go like, "Will we see the Masons take our rightful crown from us? I say nay." And they, you know, and they'll charge and they go at it. Again, just great, classic, medieval gaming fun. Fight as a knight with a sword, cut people's heads off. That kind of, again, it is bewildering to me that it took this long to get that, and I want to emphasize that point. This is at heart, as I'm distracted discussing the combat system of the game, this is at heart a very good game. And I will prove it to you by spending the rest of the video shitting on it. There is a dodge button. It does not work. It works in that if you successfully dodge, you don't take the damage, but it is on the same button as jump, so half the time you just launched your ass into the air. And then they cut off your legs, and it didn't really help me, now did it? And that's my biggest complaint about the combat and the controls, is that the keys are bound very poorly. There's a lot of buttons that are reused for more than one thing, and there's a lot of buttons that do nothing. And then if you want to really master the game, you have your feinting and your counter-attacking and your riposting, so there's more advanced techniques that you can get even more into it. But I do think they did a good job of making their own combat system, making it unique, making it focus on a dance of swordplay and not just copying Dark Souls, and I think they deserve some credit for that. Another neat thing is you can actually throw all of your weapons, literally anything in your inventory you can throw. So you can throw your primary sword at them if they're trying to run away. And then we get to the shield. There's a big problem with the shields. So anybody can block an attack with or without a shield. So the only real bonus you get with a shield is you can also block arrows. You can block arrows, daggers, and so if somebody throws their weapon at you, you can just block with a sword and you'll deflect the weapon. So shields are basically a hard counter to archers. Other than that, the shields are useless. They don't really seem to give you any additional stamina. I guess I could be wrong about that, but I am too lazy to check, so just trust me. I mean, when have I ever steered you wrong before? So I was a shield guy, and I had like a tomahawk as my secondary, so I switched to my secondary, and I press L1 and R1 to throw it, which again is a bad button, because sometimes when you're trying to throw a weapon, you just swing it. The game's not good at telling, so again, another control decision that was not good. So I'm like, I'll throw my tomahawk, and then I'll switch back to my warhammer, and I'll go back into the fight. And this genius chucks the damn shield, like broadside, long ways into the wind, unaerodynamically. He doesn't frisbee it like Captain America. He literally just pushes out the shield. It is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life, and they have got to fix that. And again, because people run in front of you and the collision movement pathing is not great, so you'll hit people unintentionally, your own teammates, when you don't mean to. So there is friendly fire, but it's reduced. So if you do 100 damage to the enemy, you'll do like 20 damage to your friend in friendly fire. That was a really smart way of doing it, because there's still a little bit of friendly fire for that immersion to try to make you not, so you have to avoid your friends, but if you do hit them, it's not the biggest deal in the world. So I think more games should adopt like a reduced friendly fire like that. I think that was smart. Okay, there is an option in the sprint button menu. I've had that on and off. It makes no difference. There is no sprint button. If you run for long enough, you just sprint, so I'm not sure why that's an option, but I do like the way that's done, because it forces you to build momentum and to commit if you want to sprint. And some classes have like a tackle, so if you're sprinting at full, you have a different new new bonus attack that you can, knock people down and stun them. So there's like walking, and then there's like kind of a light jog. So I think they should add a third speed that's like a full-on sprint that's harder to steer and actually burns stamina. But if you hit somebody with it, you just knock them on their ass, and if you swing a weapon with it, you should do like triple damage. Another smart thing is the game always respawns you running. So it starts you running, and then it gives you control. So there's always an incentive to force you into the fray, and it's very cool how it does that. So I think they should, and especially that you respawn in groups, so there's a timer. So somebody will go, "Aah!" and then everybody else will go, "Aah!" and then you all. It's like one guy does it, and everybody else does it. It's great. This is great group sociology of we all battle charge together. Love it. So the game could have found a way to have you build group momentum, so that if you smash into an army, you kind of force them to the side, or you stun them and you kind of push them back. So they could have played with that a little more. Unfortunately, they don't. If whoever's in front of the charge just stops moving, everybody grinds to a halt. And then archery. Archery, if you don't want to have fun, pick the archer, because the archers suck. The crossbow bolts are okay because it's like a loaded gun that you just click, you fire. It's a little different. It's got a slower reload. You can't move while you're reloading. But with the bow and arrow, unless you're holding down left trigger, which slows your movement speed and zooms you into, like, aim mode, pressing right trigger. Now I set an arrow to the string, now I draw it, and then I release it, and then with the travel time, there's almost a full 2-second delay from when you push right trigger to when you actually hit the guy. So the archery is very, very bad. It needs to be faster, the arrows need to fly faster, and for as slow as they fly and as difficult as they are to hit, even with auto aim on, they do piddly damage. It takes 2 headshots to kill somebody. An arrow should always be 1 tap to the head. I think they should be basically 1-hit kills in the chest to anybody not wearing plate armor. Like, for all the good sound effects, the arrows sound really lame. It's like, there's not this nice silent, like, release, and then the thwack of it hitting, like, somebody in the head. So the archers do not feel very satisfying to use. They're too slow, they're too weak, they don't have a special, they have no block. I mean, obviously, blocking with a bow is not going to be great, but you can bash with the bow or the crossbow. But I mean, again, it's better than nothing. It's better than just tanking the hit. This game has hardly any content. This game has 2 modes. There is a free-for-all mode, or I guess 3 modes. There's a free-for-all mode, there's a team deathmatch mode, and then there's like a castle siege mode. So there's 5 different sort of conquest, if you will, maps. And they all have like, free the prisoners, break the gate, escort the battering rams, capture the town square, stuff like that. My favorite one is the slaughter of Coxwell, because it has cocks in it, and I like cooks. And there are only 3 free-for-all maps, and those are reused in the team deathmatch. So if you're playing free-for-all, you're getting the same 3 maps over and over and over again. That is sucky for $40. If you are not playing with friends and laughing your ass off drunk, having a grand old time, Chivalry 2 gets old fast. Not because the combat isn't engaging, but because there's such little variety in the circumstances and the settings of you using the combat that it's kind of just the same thing over again. Okay, run forward, raw, double square, right trigger, left trigger, right trigger, and then you die. And then you do it again after a 10-second countdown. It's the same thing over and over again. And in the menu, what is the point of a 40-player mode? It's the exact same game modes as the 64-player mode, with less players. What moron wants less players? And again, for PlayStation 5, my brand new $500 console in 2021, there is no reason these should not be 100 on 100 battles, 200-player battles. Why not? Why not? It's not a mechanically, physically demanding game. You have crossplay with all consoles together, so you should have no trouble filling up the servers. The game auto-fills the lobby with like 30% bots who like attack you once and then stand there waiting to die. And it's hilarious, and if you're in a free-for-all, it's a great way to kind of gank up the kills. You can just walk into a bot rape fest, so if there's like a bot orgy going on, 3 bots is like the peak investment on return, because if there's more than 3 bots, then they start killing off each other and you don't get credit for the kills. And then the other issue with lack of content is the armor customization. So you can customize your character a little, you can change their face and beard and hair color a little, fine, whatever. You have a helmet on most of the time, you're playing in first person, it doesn't really matter anyway. Oh, sidestep, something you can do is be a woman. Am I the only one who thinks it's a little ironic that a game called Chivalry 2 forces you to kill and dismember women and watch them crawl through puddles of their own gore? Am I the only one that has an issue with that? And here come the SJWs to fight for equality and stuff, and it's like, okay, people who this doesn't matter to, you're wrong. This matters. This is important. The reason this is important is because it is literal propaganda. A woman on the medieval battlefield is just as out of place as an M4 assault rifle. The problem is the slap in the face to all the brave men who actually fought and died in conflicts like this, in the Crusades. The developers might not be trying to do this. I mean, I don't know who made Torn Banner, I think, is who comes up at the start of Chivalry 2. They might not be trying to get you to vote for Democrats indirectly. They might just be saying, oh, women play our games, so maybe a woman wants to play as a woman. And sure, you had Joan of Arc as the rare one-in-a-lifetime exception, but the fact that you can literally play as a black woman on the medieval battlefield should piss you off. It should. If you care about historical accuracy, if you care about creative integrity, if you care about immersion and suspension of disbelief, again, if that doesn't bother you, then why don't assault rifles? And again, it's like, I'm the sexist, I'm the bigot. I'm the bigot because I don't want to see women die? I'm the sexist because I don't want to have to fucking chop women's heads off and watch their blood pool around them as they try to crawl to safety? Are you kidding me? Here's the difference with gender roles are a thing, okay? Don't let anybody tell you differently. A man dying in battle is not as bad as a woman dying in a battle. That is not because men and women do not have equal value as human beings. It is because they have different roles in society. It is because men are more physically capable of defending themselves than women. Women are generally vulnerable and helpless. That is why men are big and strong and should fight to defend women. They should not be killing them on the battlefield. And in a games industry climate where people want to have any semblance of, morality and like, oh, I know the Christians that want to play video games, right? When they're like, oh, don't watch Harry Potter, it's a devil witchcraft, the bullshit. Especially for your kids. Do you want to teach your kids that it's okay to fight a woman? And it's got a couple mechanical missteps, the crossplay is broken, and it's why these other lack of content things bother me so much. Because if this game had the armor customization sucks. You get 2, maybe 3 scripted sets for every class, and that's it. There's like a shitty rusty version, a default version, like a fancy engraved version, and then like a gold lion version. You cannot, and it's just armor set and helmet. There's a couple different skins for each of the weapons. Your options are few and far between. It doesn't even let you differentiate between, gauntlets, greaves, legs, pants, whatever, the thing, the bottom half of the penis part of the body. When we're talking about medieval fantasy games and how they should be innovating and how they should be pushing forward, this is a step backwards, not forwards. But most of them are kind of bland and boring, and some of them just look like shit. My favorite set by far is definitely the engraved plate knight, and then you have the tilting helmet. You kind of look like the Demon Souls dude. You should be able to have like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, like, oh, I want leather, then I want chainmail, then I want plate, oh, but I want a plate pauldron on my shoulder, and I want to put plate armor on my left arm, but not my right arm. And if the hitboxes can manage and handle this, you get hit in the left, you only take a little damage, but if you get hit in the right, your arm chops off. You see what I'm saying? Wouldn't that be cool? A much more in-depth, customizable, just super, super deep armor system. And they can do it by like weight class and movement speed, and they say, oh, the more armor you're wearing, the slower you are, but the higher health you have. There's a million different ways they could do this, and zero effort is put to innovate on this front. The only real good thing this game does is just basic medieval combat, and I'm starting to get suspicious that the I's at the end of Chivalry are actually Roman numerals, implying that there was a Chivalry before this, which again, I feel like, I know I just said this with Red Dead 2, why does the sequel look like the first attempt? Why is there so little new content? Like, I mean, if this is how bare bones Chivalry 2 is, what the hell does Chivalry 1 look like? The value proposition, $40, no, I don't think it's worth $40. It's a ton of fun. It's not even really a unique game. It's just kind of the first one to try this sort of genre. I can't remember the last time I said buy a game on full price. Wait. Just manage your money. Just wait till it's on sale. Wait till the bugs are patched out. Wait till they add some more free content, and you'll be happy and glad you did.